Hey guys, what's up? Toppe here. With the overwhelming amount of positive feedback and requests of doing another video of the most previous one, I decided to do it. This time I have a little twist though. Instead of reviewing my own games, I'll be reviewing pro players' games and analyzing why the play is the correct play to make. So not only will this quiz be a fun video like the last one, but hopefully it will also help you guys understand bot lane even further. I personally learned quite a lot doing this video because I had to analyze everything the pro players make to understand why this play is correct, and hopefully I can explain this to you guys so you feel the same way after watching this video. With all of that being said, let's get right into it. The first game is Rekkles playing Xayah with a Rakan into Aphelios and an Alistar. Rekkles has reset, cashing in the 2 kills he already had scored, meaning he's now heavily up in damage, compared to Aphelios, who only has tier 2 boots. While arriving to lane, we can see our Diana doing the Drake, and our top lane just died to the enemy jungler, and our mid lane seems pretty even with the enemy mid laner. So with all of this knowledge, how would you treat this incoming wave? If you need more time to think of your own answer, make sure to pause the video now, because here comes the suggestions. A. Let the wave slow push towards your turret, setting up a gank for Diana after Drake. B. Set up a freeze using your gold lead to prevent the enemies from walking up. C. Let Aphelios reset, then instant shove and reset yourself to match his back. Or D. Shove the wave and look for a dive with Diana using the gold lead. If you need more time to think, then pause the video, because here comes the answer. So right on arrival, you can see that Rekkles starts spinning down the wave, but he's not pushing it right away. And that's one reason for that. He's right now waiting for his Diana. So right now we can just see that he's like slowly hitting the wave and making it, smaller and smaller as time goes. And eventually he'll push it out, as you can see here. And then now Diana is finally done with Drake and she starts coming down, and now he has shoved out the entire wave and the next wave, having this cannon wave under, and they start proceeding to dive. And here you can see that, I would say it's a really clean dive, even though they had the burn flash. But just considering that Aphelios and Alistar both had full HP before going into that dive, that was really nice. So if you guys chose the answer D, shove the wave and look for a dive with Diana using the gold lead, you guys chose correct. So just talking about this really quick, the only reason to this play was possible was because that Aphelios was really far behind in gold. He had bought boots, and Xayah, or Rekkles, had bought a noon quiver and a pickaxe, so he was like really strong damage wise, and therefore they could burst him down under the turret. And then they could even get Alistar with the help of Diana. If you look at some of the other answers like B, setting up a freeze using your gold lead to prevent enemies from walking up, or even A, let the wave slow push towards your turret, setting up a gank for Diana, I would say from my own experience, those are two very viable plays too, but D is definitely the best, but also a play where you would probably mostly only see pro players doing it because they know their champion so well. Personally, in Master Elo, it's probably not a play I would have gone for, because I would feel like it's a too risky play. But considering that all of these players who play in this high Elo, like this was I think a 1,400 challenger game or something like that, so it's insanely high. All of the players just know their champions to the fullest, and therefore they can make plays like this. So D was the right answer. Congrats if you got it correct. And now let's move to the next play. In this game we have Upset playing Vayne with a Lulu into a Syndra and Alistar. The enemy top laner shows early at the first wave, while the enemy bot laner is missing. This gives us the information that the enemy jungler is starting bot side and is pathing towards top. Meanwhile, our jungler has started top side and is pathing towards bot. With this knowledge, how would you want to play based on the first 3 waves? If you need more time to think of your own answer, then pause the video now, because here comes the suggestions. A. Use a double ranged advantage to build up waves to cheater recall. B. Play for the level 2 all in. C. Look for a dive with the Shyvana pathing towards bot side. Or D. Set up a slow push towards the enemies and then zone them from XP. So if we look at the arrival to lane, we can already see that Upset has one goal in mind, and that is to create a slow push, and you can see that by the fact that he's hitting the minions just slightly, but not killing them, making his wave push into the enemy's tower. As soon as Syndra walks up, he looks for every opportunity possible to find like a Q onto her. And the same with Lulu, they're just trying to poke her as far out of the lane as they possibly can. And by holding the wave where they are in the middle, they're kind of giving Syndra room to walk up, where they then can find like opportunities to poke her. And this is also what you can see here, where it just goes back and forth. They're holding the lane in the middle, he's only last hitting, and then every time he sees an opportunity to Q the Syndra, he'll do it. And that's basically what's gonna happen the first 3 waves here. So what his entire plan is to create a slow push towards them. And he actually has a really good reason for that. Because by creating this big slow push that you can see now with the 3rd wave coming in, it's actually a like enormous wave. And you would think that it's good to cheater recall here, right? And this is something I actually probably might have done myself a few times in my own games, is make the mistake of cheater recalling here. But there is some consequences to cheater recalling. For example, in this game, we are not 100% sure that Echo started bot, but by Jace showing top early and the bot missing, it's really like almost certain that he did. But Echo could still randomly be bot lane, and therefore he stays to secure Shyvana the crab, which if he bagged and the enemy bot lane stayed, well then they could just walk up in river and push her away, and then because he bagged, he would lose her the crab. So that's the reason you don't want to bag or do cheater recalls if your jungler is pathing towards you. And another reason is that now, with the crashing such a big wave, the wave will actually push back into him. That's just like common, I guess, knowledge, you could say, that when you crash a huge wave, the wave is big enough that the enemy's waves will start stacking on the side and come towards your side. And that's what you can see here. Vayne and Lulu, or Upset and Lulu, actually poked the Syndra so hard that Syndra was forced to use a teleport super early to get an extra bag, and now with the wave being pushed coming into him, you can see that Shyvana is actually ready to gank them because of how good the wave state is. So now you can see how Shyvana is just standing behind and ready, but unfortunately Lulu gets absolutely blown up, and she still has her flash, so I would say that's a mistake on her. Where if she had flash, maybe Shyvana could have come down and killed one of them, which I think actually would have happened, but because she doesn't, and they have such a big wave, Shyvana and Vayne can't 2v2 them because of the wave coming into them now. So therefore they just have to back off and then take the loss of their Lulu. This means if you chose the answer D, set up a slow push towards the enemies and then zone them from XP, you chose the correct answer. Good job. And now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this next one is a little different. Instead of taking a play made in bot lane, I'm actually gonna try and make it out of a fight. And let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, so in this game, Hans Sama is playing Varus with Rel into a Draven and Alistar. He's currently 2-3 and has 140 CS at 16 minutes, so he's definitely not that behind compared to the Draven who only has 109 CS. He has no summoners though going into this fight, but he does have his ultimate, and you can see here that he also has his mythic, which is a Kraken, and he got his tier 2 boots and a seal, so he's going unhit Varus. So with the knowledge of Kel already having burned her ultimate and the previous informations, so what will you guys' plans be going from here? So since this is a pretty difficult question, I'm just going to give you guys the frame again right here. And then if you need more time to analyze the whole situation of what's going on in this image, then just make sure to pause the video here. If you need more time to figure out your own plan before I give you suggestions, make sure to pause the video now. But otherwise, here they come. And I just want to say this time I only made 3 because I feel like this is a really tough situation and it would just be too difficult with 4, so I only made 3 scenarios that could happen. A. Focus the Alistar knowing he just burned his abilities in the fight. B. Sprint towards your teammates to find an angle to ultimate. Or C. Back off from the fight knowing that Kel has burned her ultimate and Rel is looking pretty dead. If you need more time to think of this, then make sure to pause the video. So here you can see that Hans Sama is instantly just going onto the Alistar because he had just used all of his abilities. And he was pretty isolated from his teammates still, like he was still pretty far away. So it would just be a lot of time for him to waste going all the way over there when he can just try and pick off the Alistar where he is at the moment. That means if you chose the answer A, focus the Alistar knowing he just burnt his abilities in the fight, you chose the correct answer. Congrats. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. In this last game, we have another game of Rekkles, a personal favorite, can't lie. In this game, we see Xin Zhao do a cheeky game from the bush, which actually earns Rekkles a kill. Unfortunately, Xin does end up dying to the affiliates and it becomes a 1-for-1. But since Xin Zhao dragged a bunch of minions with him chasing the Lulu, Rekkles now has a huge enemy wave coming in. Keep in mind, Rekkles and affiliates hasn't bagged yet and they're still sitting on a D-blade and a potion. Kha'Zix comes down to help affiliates shove in the wave, but Nord is also just arriving back to the lane, keeping it a 2v2. With all of the information just given and all of the information you can achieve from looking at this picture, what will your play be here? If you need more time to think of your own solution, make sure to pause the video now, because here comes the suggestions. A. Acknowledge the wave is too big to 2v2 in, and therefore allow Kha'Zix to shove it in. B. Look for an all-in with the Nord hook, utilizing the CC chain that Cyan Nautilus has. Or C. Fast clear the wave to then 2v2. Or D. Back off completely, knowing that they might dive the Rekkles with the Gangplank ult. If you need more time to think of one of the suggestions, then make sure to pause the video now, because here comes the answer. So looking at the game, we can see that Rekkles is right away putting out his feathers, and he's not really allowing them to just shove it in. He's putting up a fight, and you can see he lanes the root onto the Kha'Zix, which then allows Nord to use his abilities. Another thing to mention is that, as you can see here, Katarina actually had teleport up, and therefore this fight was pretty much safe to do. Even if Rekkles does end up dying, it would be a worth fight, because the trade 2 for 1, and then he could just ask the Katarina to shove out the wave that he's doing now. So if you chose the answer B, look for an all-in with the Nord hook, utilizing the CC chain that Cyan Nord has, then you chose the correct answer. Yeah, Nord wasn't actually the one who hit his hook to start the entire fight, but they were utilizing the CC chain that Cyan Nord has. You can see as soon as Rekkles landed his feather, Nautilus just made Kha'Zix completely unable to move until he was dead, and as soon as Kha'Zix was dead, he just did the same thing to Aphelios. And the fight was really free for them to take, as I mentioned earlier, because Katarina did have teleport up and they had a really deep ward, but I just felt like I didn't want to mention it in the suggestion, because it would be too obvious then. So I hope that's something you guys kind of figured out yourself. And then from there you can be like, yeah, they can just look for the fight, because Katarina has teleport and it's just super free. And in high elo like this, you will often see, especially Katarina players, even in like lower elo, you'll see them teleport all over the map, because they just want to find kills in the early game to carry the game. That's just how the champ works. B was the correct answer. If you got it correct, good job. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave in the comments down below how many out of these 4 questions you got correct. And also, if you have any other video ideas or suggestions, please feel free to let me know in the comments too, because I love getting ideas and feedback from you guys and knowing what I can bounce off. So if you have anything you think I did really bad in this video, really good, feel free to let me know that as well, so I can continue doing the good things and avoid doing the bad things. If you guys are interested in coaching with me, I have a link in the description of my Discord where you can find all the information there. I do sessions for around 20 bucks, so if that's something, I mean, you can go check it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video, and I hope that you'll be looking forward to future videos. Peace out, guys. Much love, and thank you for staying around.